So, it's whatever day it is, Thursday, I think, day after Wednesday, and we are doing siding up high. So we're up on a high deck. If you can see over here, we're 12 feet off the ground already, and then we got to go up there. So maybe sometime in your life, or maybe right now, you're watching this video and you think, I'm doing something dangerous right now. But just know that somewhere else in the world, I am doing something dangerouser. That's probably like making new laws for OSHA. Nevertheless, so my phone is pretty much going to crap, and my son wants to get off my plan. Thank God. I love you, Ben. And he did. He got off the plan. So last night we went up there to the store, and I was like, hey, I want this phone that's like, you know, huge and expensive, and has lots of RAM and everything. And they said, well, we can have it delivered. And this bothered me for a lot of reasons. First of all, I just think it sounds cruel. And secondly, I didn't even know that iPhones had livers. Did you know this, Christina? You had to deliver it? It sounds painful. I think you need a liver to live. I might not understand things. Anyway, we're gonna do some more stuff over here. I'm gonna take the camera from you right now and show you what else we're gonna do. So, Danger, is that you? Oh, yeah, here's Danger. So, here's gonna be the hard part. Not this so much, but up there. And not that so much, but hold on a second. Wait for it. Yep, all this up here is just gonna be a nightmare. So there we go, up into the sky we go. Good morning. So today, Mike and I are gonna risk our lives yet again. We're gonna break some OSHA rules. Are you ready?
Ready.
We're working out in county, in the middle of nowhere, definitely not near my house. Nope.
Nowhere near.
So, here's a couple things. Number 8, it's very important to laugh a lot because it's the best medicine. Therefore, on my crew, I require that for the first 12 hours of the day, we laugh, and then after that, it's optional. Right? See? That's how it works. That's free medicine right there. And I hope that you guys got some too.
Dr. John.
Yep, you're welcome. Now, I also want to tell you that this is some good financial advice. I know a lot of you guys need financial advice because you're horrible with money.
Go to work.
That's a good one. Yeah, try going to work and stop mooching off the government, which is us. We are the government. I don't know if you knew that. Here's another one. This is nobody talks about this, and definitely nobody really adheres to it. Don't spend money you don't have. Oh, hey there. Maybe you guys are doing some dangerous stuff, but just remember, we're doing something dangerouser.
That's the word.
So there we are, way up there. I don't know if you can tell, like, perspective is never exactly right, but that's way up there, and it's super sketchy. To put it in perspective, that's a 400-foot tall ladder, and then we put on top of that roof, and then we go up another 372 feet. Also, I exaggerate about 500% of the time. It's not, I'm not wrong about this.
Get up there though. Man.
So I'm up there earlier, right? I'm up, way up at that peak, and things are not good. And I've got like one arm hung around the top of the roof. I'm holding the board, I got a nail gun, and all of a sudden, what do I feel? Sting, 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 sting. A wasp got into my pocket, behind my wallet and everything, and it starts stinging my leg. I don't know if you can see it. Can you? Oh yeah, right there. It starts stinging my leg. I'm like, you jerk. But then I'm like, I can't stop him from stinging me because I got to hold all this stuff first. I'm like, he's all, come down the ladder. I'm like, I can't. I got all this stuff here. It was not fun. Not fun. Mike, what did you talk about?
Almost died today.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Well, I didn't even get hurt. But
but
I could have.
We all could have. But we wouldn't have just fallen. It wouldn't be the fall that's that bad. It's the fall and the tumble and then the roll and then another fall.
Yeah.
And then like on the other side is bang bang, and then you're probably gonna break your back on something. You ever seen something like just folded in half the wrong way?
That would have been us.
Yeah. And then more tumbling. And then maybe land on this pile of rocks right here.
The tape measure fell off and it was screaming all the way down.
It did, yeah, it fell way out there. Ah. So then you land on this pile of rocks, and just like Wile E. Coyote, then the ladder comes on you, like, no!
Except he gets back up.
He runs out, he looks down, and then, you know, he's fighting the anvil all the way down. That's how we would do it. That's how we do it. All right, so what you gonna do rest of the day? That!
Oh, I thought since like 4 o'clock, it felt like a Saturday to me.
I feel like my crew has lost their, oh.
Yeah.
All right, so on Monday morning, we're gonna go out with my plumber and help him work on rough plumbing on Mike Norris's house. We're so excited. All right. Oh, hey there. So, hopefully you guys are like cooking your turkey and getting ready for Thanksgiving. Lord knows I am. I prepare my Thanksgiving in a different way. So me and some friends of mine are true Americans, and so we celebrate Thanksgiving in a true American fashion. Let me tell you how we do this. First of all, we go find some very hospitable people that are kind to us, that want to share their food, and we're gonna go have a meal at their house. We go do that. We enjoy our meal, we all laugh, we all talk about life and pretend like we're friends. And then at the end of the evening, we kill our hosts. We kill all of them, okay? Not all of them. We leave some, the old and the weak, the children, whatever. And then we kick them out of their house, far, far away, thousands of miles away, with blankets to cover them up that are diseased with smallpox, because that's what Americans do at Thanksgiving, and that is what Thanksgiving is all about. Drew, where are you at? He says, yes, that's what we're gonna do tomorrow. It's gonna be a wonderful experience where we celebrate the true spirit of Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys don't actually do that. That's what the Pilgrims did. Okay, so sorry that you had to hear that painful subject. Kids, close your ears after the fact. All right, but hopefully you guys are gonna do something nice for Thanksgiving. We're gonna keep working because I work too much. First of all, I want to apologize. I told a horrible story earlier today. I'm not gonna go murder the people that are my hosts. That is not a nice thing to do. I do want to say this. I am so very grateful, and my cup runs over. I'm also grateful because we got this siding up here done all the way up high. And it doesn't look super sketchy, but there's a waterfall right here, and it was real sketchy. So everybody lived, nobody got hurt. I'm so very grateful. And I'm grateful just in general. Like, my life is just an abundance of blessings that I do not deserve. So a couple things I want to say for Thanksgiving. Number 8. I want to start a Bible study at my house. Anybody in the world that's interested, and you don't want to have a judgy environment, you don't want to have somebody that's very, I don't know, what's the word, hypocritical and a bunch of rules and whatever, and you're just like, I have questions about the Bible, and I have questions about real life issues, and I want to deal with those, contact me. I want to have this at my house. So anybody that's interested, if you're not a Christian, I don't care. If you are a Christian, I don't care. If you're just like, hey, I just want to come hang out, perfect. I think Sunday nights is when I'm going to do it. And so if you're interested in that, contact me, because I really want to do that. All right, next I want to tell you this. Many, many times in my life, I would say thousands of times, people have heard my story and then asked to tell my story. And obviously that's getting made into a movie. I've got a book about it. It's on YouTube and whatever, and it's got tens of thousands of views. I've had several people over the years that have asked me, John, you've got an amazing story. Could you tell your story, but leave Jesus out of it? And I'm like, let me be clear. Without Jesus, there is no story in my life. My story would have ended decades ago. But because of him, my life is here and my life is full and abundant. And if I left Jesus out of it, I would be robbing whoever heard my story, and I would be robbing and dishonoring him. Let me explain why. Imagine that I was in a war. I was in a battle, okay? And I am about to die. There is no doubt about it. I am about to die. And somebody comes right in front of the bullet on purpose and dies in my place. And later on, when I'm back home and when I'm safe, somebody comes to me and says, could you just say the universe helped you? Could you just say a higher power helped you? And I'm like, no, this man stood in my way. This man gave his life for my life. So no, I cannot tell my story without having Jesus in it, because he gave his life for mine. And so no, I cannot tell my story without Jesus, because Jesus is my story. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Thanksgiving. If anybody's lonely, I know this is a hard time for you. If anybody is lonely, you call me, we'll hang out, okay? Don't go kill yourself. Don't go hurt yourself. Don't be feeling sorry for yourself. Don't go be sad and cry. Call me and we'll do something. All right, love you guys. Oh, hey there. So happy Wednesday, or whatever day you call it. As you can clearly tell, we've got all the siding up, and we've caulked everything, and we've got paint on everything. We still have to paint the trim. So you'll see that it's a huge difference between this, and when we get it done, you'll be like, that looks so much better, John. That's a good point. All right, now, I'm gonna teach you guys something about storytelling and about movie making and book writing, because I do a lot of that, in case you didn't know. Every story has a beginning, middle, and end. It's important. I know you're thinking, that's painfully obvious, but here's why. In the beginning, you set up where this is happening, who the main characters are, and what the conflict is. The conflict is important, okay? There are 4 kinds of conflict. What are they, Mike, you know? Man against man, man against nature, man against God, man against himself, right? So there's some conflict that happens. That sets the stage. It happened in this time frame. These are the characters. This is the conflict. That's the beginning of the story. You have to know the beginning because that sets you up for the end, right? Because you want to answer that question. You want to resolve that conflict. It's very important. Typically, there's a protagonist and an antagonist. Doesn't necessarily mean good guy and bad guy. The protagonist, you're hearing his story, so you relate to him. He could be the bad guy. You still want him to get away with it or whatever, right? The antagonist is the person that's trying to stop the good guy from doing their thing. Now, typically what happens is this. Protagonist gets a punch in, antagonist gets a punch in. Protagonist gets a punch in, antagonist. Back and forth, it escalates. It gets bigger and bigger until what happens? Until the protagonist finally has a character arc. Now, this is important. In a character arc, okay, typically the protagonist, or whoever it is, has a moment where they realize they're defeated. Everything in life has gone to crap. They cannot win. They are humbled, and they realize, like, in the good stories, they realize, I will sacrifice myself because I know I won't win anyway. It doesn't even matter, right? And when they come to this point, then they have a character arc and they can rise above the antagonist, and then they beat that other party, whatever it may be, by a large margin. But until the protagonist has something bad that happens to them, to the point where they're humbled, to the point where they're like, I give up, that's when they become what they need to be. That's when they become what they're born for. And then they beat their conflict, right? So a lot of times people are like, I don't want conflict in my life. I don't want bad things in my life. I want an easy life where I just coast right through. You're never going to be amazing. That's why people won't remember your name, okay? If you have conflict in your life, overcome it. Do whatever you got to do. Humble yourself. And finally, like, self-sacrifice. Because here's why. Every good story, every good movie, every good book that you've ever written or read, every good video game with a good plot to it is based on the one true story. And what is that? The one true story is this. That is the story of man and how we fell, and then how salvation was provided for us, and how Jesus sacrificed himself for our sins. He self-sacrificed. And so every time we see somebody do that, something inside of our heart says, wow, I identify with that, because that is amazing, because that is the story of us. Okay? So hopefully, if you're going through a hard time, you get your character arc, and then you rise above, and you become amazing. We're gonna rise above after lunch and paint all this trim. Oh, hey there. Look, don't get short with me, okay? I mean, yeah, I had an accident or whatever. So here's what happened. A lot of you guys know that I have a huge collection of leaves. Like, they collect over here by these trees, under the trees and stuff, all over my property. I feel like a hoarder. I'm embarrassed. I'm really, really embarrassed that you're having to see how I live, hoarding all these leaves. It's like an episode of Hoarders. And so I'm gonna turn over a new leaf. This is an old leaf, but this represents that I'm turning over a new leaf. And I want to give these, my entire collection of leaves, away to literally anybody for free, because I am ridiculously generous with things that I think have no value. Especially, I'm like a Democrat. Like, I'm so generous, I'll give you the shirt right off of Jimmy's back. I just want you to know that.
You can have it too.
Huh?
And you can have it too.
And you can have it too. So please take my leaves so that I don't have this addiction anymore. Take as much time as you need. I have probably hundreds of millions of leaves.
I would say a cotillion.
Roughly a quadrillion.
Yes.
And that's that. All right. If you were a vegetable, you'd be a cucumber. So you might remember months or what seems like years ago, I was like, I'm going to redo the siding of my house and repaint it. And then you know what happened? I did. I never finished, because I've been building a house for Mr. Mike Norris, who I love. And the house is at a lull right now because I'm waiting for them to texture. So I'm like, let's take opportunity and get this done. And there's no snow on the ground, so that's wonderful. So I got to touch up a little bit up in here, a couple little spots around, blah, 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 blah. And then we'll be done with this. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and we thought about a couple things. Number 8, a lot of people, Jimmy, see if you recognize this.
Okay.
A lot of people die before they're dead.
I can relate.
Yep. So let me elaborate. What I mean by that is this. They're like, I'm 25, my life's basically over. And they just take a knee and ride the rest of their life out.
Yep.
I'm 30, whatever. Let's just, I'm 40, I'm 50, whatever the number is, right? I just give up. You know what? I twisted my ankle one time, so that's it. I'm going to stop trying.
Yep.
You're like, you still got some life in you. You might want to keep living that. You might live a lot longer than you thought.
Exactly.
The Amish have a saying that you need to live your life like Jesus is coming back tomorrow. But you need to work like it'll be another 1,000 years. Because what you do matters. All right, so there's some people that die before they're dead, and then there's other people, and this is the people that you want to be. And they live long after they're dead. That's the people you want to be. So we're going to keep working. I'll do some kind of a wrap up here pretty soon. That way we can finish this episode. And I'm so excited about that. All right, bye. Oh, hey guys. So we're finishing this house up. Thank God. It only took 6 months or however long it's been. But I love it when we finish a project. That makes me really happy. So in my house, like every house, we have a switch that's installed. And a lot of people don't talk about this. Electricians do it. It's just something that we have to do by code. And so this switch seems to go to nothing, right? And everybody spends an amount of hours, if you add it all up, flipping the switch and looking around like, what does this go to? And it looks like it goes to nothing. Do not flip that switch. Every time somebody flips one of those switches, a flying monkey appears on the other side of the world. It is growing into an enormous herd. You guys have heard about the plastic that's the size of a continent in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? There's a herd of flying monkeys that is getting ridiculously out of control. If you have a light switch and you're like, I don't know what this goes to, ding, 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 stop doing that. I'm so serious. It's gonna be our next plague. First coronavirus, now flying monkeys. It's because we won't repent. If we just humble ourselves and repent, it wouldn't be a problem. But no, you guys are too prideful. So anyway, we're done with this
Switch flippers.
Yeah, switch flippers. All right, see you on the next one. Bye. Oh, hey there. So maybe you're like, I haven't really done anything today, mostly just sitting around. And then you get a phone call and you're like, oh, work. I love work. So my wonderful friend Russell was like, hey man, I think there's a possibility that my water heater's having a problem. And I'm like, all right, let's take a look. So let's take a look. Here's some clues. First of all, it's already been disconnected, so that's not your clue. Go farther down lower. Oh, what is this? Now that looks like that's dripping out of the pan right there. Yes, this is rusted out and it's dripping down here and filling that up. Thank God it's got a pipe that goes outside. So that's amazing. Now we hooked up this hose. We're draining it, we open it up. We're draining out the water. That's amazing. This is obviously cold water coming in here, Corona. So you can tell because it's got a shutoff valve and it goes to blue, and blue is cold and then red is hot. So that's water coming out. And then this is your TMP valve, which is temperature and pressure. And then this is your gas line, which comes in here. So that's pretty amazing. Now, I don't know what you guys are doing this weekend, but I am pretty excited because I got invited to a Superb Owl party.
Superb Owl?
I don't understand it either. No, I don't understand it, but look, here's what I understand it to be, right? Somebody sent me a text and it was kind of a long word and it jumped around the edge and it was like a superb owl party. And I'm like, I love owls and I especially love superb owls. They seem wiser or maybe wisest. I could ask it some questions. They're very quiet. Yeah, no, it's the superb owl.
Pretty sure that says
Wait a minute.
Super Bowl party.
Oh man. Superb owl, Super Bowl. Darn it, you're right. If they talk about football, I'm out of there. I'm not even kidding with you. Russell, if there's one thing I can't stand, it's bologna. And if they have bologna on crackers, I'll feel like I'm back in prison again. What? I was never in prison.
3 times.
Yeah.
15 cents.
If I had a nickel for every time I was in prison, I'd have 15 cents. I wouldn't. I'd have 0 cents, unfortunately. I've never been to prison. But there's still time. I'm still youngish. So I want you to think about this on your Friday night. It's a very solemn moment. You, person watching this, are a special person because you have more ancestors than all of your ancestors. Russell's over here giggling because that's a dumb thing to say. Anyway, we're gonna take this out. We're gonna go buy another one because Home Depot's got them, we hope. I mean, with the shortage. Ooh. And then we're gonna put that in, and we're gonna hook it all up, and we're gonna see how that looks. Hopefully it'll look good. So,
And work.
yeah, so we'll see you in about 28 minutes. Oh, hey. So, it's been about 28 minutes, and as you can clearly tell, we got a new water heater in. Now, I don't know if you remember what it looked like, but this looks better. See how it's dry? That's important. And we got cold water coming in. There's your shut-off valve for that. This is hot water coming out. That's your TMP valve. And then this is the gas line. And then we've got the drain and the pan down there, okay? Now, if you listen, what does that sound? Is that a bunch of snakes? That hissing sound? Is that a bunch of snakes?
That is a bunch of snakes.
No, it's not. It's air in the line. So what happens is there's 40 gallons of air that they put in at the factory, okay? And then we push it out by putting water in, and it pushes the air out and it comes out through the thing. Now the other day, I posted a video of a snake that I said was about 6 feet, but I came back and measured it, and it was about 97 inches. And for those that aren't good at math, that's 8 foot 1 inch. Okay. Oh. I think I awoke it from a slumber. I think it was probably hibernating, which is what I want to do in the wintertime too, but I don't because I'm not lazy like a snake is. Also, I'm not cold-blooded. I work too much. Don't look at this. This snake was going on about his business. I was on the bobcat doing my stuff, scooping. I look over like, that is quite a large snake. That means that it's got more snake friends around there. And I'm like, big buddy, taller than me. Do snakes have really long necks or really long tails? I don't know. Anyway, so I was like, hey, I've got a free ticket for you. And he's like, to what? And I was like, to Little Snake Heaven. And so I, with the bobcat, and I chopped him up in little sushi rolls, and he didn't like it at first, but then he seemed to make his peace. so then I dug him a grave and I put him away. And then this vulture starts circling around, and he has, like, if I could understand vulture, which I feel like I do, it was like he had question marks above his head. He's like, he checks his phone. He's like, I got an alert that something died here, and it was quite sizable snake, but I don't see him. I smell him. I got the alert that he died. I don't know. But he kept circling, like, just question marks. He's like, baffled. So I don't know. Somebody told me recently that buzzards don't poop, but then I looked it up and I'm like, that's not true. They do. In fact, they poop all over their feet and their legs. And you're like, that's kind of gross. But here's why. Because they are around dead stuff all the time, and the poop is so acidic that it kills all the bacteria on their feet and on their legs, so it actually serves a purpose, and it makes them even stinkier. So people are like, I don't think I want to eat that one. That's a big bird, but no thanks. All right, so we are gonna light this pilot light here in a second, but that'll be a different video. All right, love you guys. Oh, hey there. I'm just over here on all fours, like some kind of a four-legged beast, because I want to show you guys something. Maybe you're like, how do you light a pilot light, John? It's simple. So this is your gas line. It's black pipe, it's threaded. This is a shutoff valve, like a preliminary one. So if it's parallel with the pipe, then it's on, and if it's perpendicular to the pipe, then it's off. That one's on. Then it comes over here. This is a shutoff valve. Right now it's perpendicular to the pipe, but now it's on. Okay, so right here, this is in the off position, and we're gonna turn it to the pilot position, and then this is an electronic ignition. Okay, so if you go down here, then I'm gonna push this pilot button in, and I'm gonna ignite this, and then you see what happens? It lights that pilot light, okay? So, come back up here where you see this. So I'm holding this in, and when this flashes blue, which hopefully will happen here in a second, then it will have enough stuff to hold its own, which is amazing. It usually take about a minute or something like that. See where it says normal operation right there? And then system problem. We don't have a system problem. That's great. But, oh, see there? No, that's good. So look down in the hole again. Now I'm going to turn this to, oh, you see what happens there? That lights a literal fire up underneath your water. So here's how this works. underneath that, your gas comes in, there's a regulator, it comes through in here, and then that pilot light is just lit all the time. There's a little bit of gas burning, and then there's a thermometer in here that's like, hey, not really hot. And it's like, no problem, let me turn the fire on. And it turns the fire on, and this has got a dial, so it's like hot or very hot, or somewhere in between. And then water comes in here and fills this tank, and so it gets hot, and then it comes out through the hot water lines to your thing, and then it refilled with more cold water that then gets hot and then circles through like that. And that is how that works. And that is how you light a pilot light. So I feel like everybody learned something. Russell, did you learn
I
anything?
did.
Yeah, good. That's good. And you know, here's the thing. People are like, John, why do you teach us all this stuff? Like, you should have secrets. I'm like, why would I want to do that? And because, okay, so here's what I've noticed. There's people that complain constantly that they're surrounded by idiots, right? I see these people all the time. And they're like, everybody's so dumb in the world except for me. And I'm like, maybe. Teach them what you know. And then they'll all be smart like you are. Maybe they'll teach you some stuff that you don't know. Then the world will be a better place. There's plenty of work for all of us. There's plenty of food at the table for everybody. Teach your secrets. It's not that big of a deal. You know why? Because you're going to help somebody. Here's the thing. If I level up and I leave everybody else down at the bottom, I'm a jerk. If I level up a step and I'm a pioneer and I'm like, hey buddy, let me help you out. Guess what happens? I rise too. Okay? And if I help them up here, then I rise again. And this continues, right? And then you can help a lot of people up, and then you continue to rise. It's important. It's important that you help people. So I hope you guys learned something. That's the end of this water heater. Now we're just going to clean up, put my tools away, and I'm going to drive home because it's like, I don't know, 2 a.m. or whatever time it is. I'm not good with math. All right, bye. Anyone who says there is no life after death has obviously never died. I was high as a kite by the time I got there. I dropped 5 hits of acid that night. I made it through the first 2 bands before I started peaking. Then it happened. The pivotal point of my life had arrived. I fell back in my chair, and I couldn't move for a long time. I started to panic, but still, I couldn't move. After what seemed like an eternity, I sat up and looked back at my seat, only to see myself still in it. I freaked out. I quickly put my hands on my eyes to hide from the horror of it all. But when I did, my left eye jumped out of my head and began to twitch around in my hand. I shoved my eye back in my skull and ran my fingers through my hair towards the back of my head. When I did, my ears twisted inside my head and disappeared. They made this awful sucking noise that was horrifying. I felt a big flap in the back of my head that I reached my hand into. I was more than a little scared at this point. I looked around, and I wasn't at a concert anymore. I didn't know where I was, but it felt like hell to me. But that couldn't be. I didn't even believe in hell. I was only 16 years old. I couldn't die yet. I looked for my friends, but they were all gone. In their place were demons haunting me. They were flying around and taunting me. The things I saw were undescribable. My body started falling apart. Limbs were falling off, and the pain was torturous. I realized that hell wasn't just a myth or a fable. It was a real place, and I was there. A Wretch Like Me by John Tennell. Available on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.